Kijk, dit is het slotstuk. Ja, stel je voor dat je hier op moet na een paar dagen regen of gewoon in regen weer. Dan vrees ik eigenlijk vooral de afdaling. Nu lijkt me dat beheersbaar. Als je tenminste niet te dicht op het wiel van je voorgangster zit. Op de mijnsite. De mijn die op 28 1989 gesloten werd. Zoals alle 6 andere Limburgse mijnen hetzelfde lot beschoren was. Van Empel, gestrekte armen, schijnbaar ontspannen. Kastelein lijkt wat meer krampachtiger te dalen.
Maar is zeker niet de technischste van het hele pak, zullen we zeggen. Daar zijn wel anderen, zoals bijvoorbeeld een fan die haar verleden als mountainbikester heeft, die het risico ook niet schuwt. En ja, dat zien we ook een keer bergaf. Boven zaten ze bij zo spreken wiel in wiel. En we zijn nog maar net bergaf aan het rijden en Fem heeft al een mooi gaatje.
Ja, zoals haar fiets het werk laat doen, het is oogstrelend. Kijk maar. Dat is een totale beheersing, hè? Lichaam. Balans, ook op het juiste moment naar achter en naar voren. Doet me een beetje denken aan de afdalersstijl van de betere skiesters. Schreiber houdt dus voorlopig stand, zoals ze dat ook deed in Kruijbeke. Misschien gaat ze dat wat langer doen dan in Kruijbeke, omdat we hier met een harde ondergrond te doen hebben. Het is allemaal Nederland voorin. Schreiber, dat is Luxemburg. Kijk hoe Van der Heijden het tempo daar in die bocht helemaal doet stokken. En daardoor de vrouw in haar wiel wat ophoudt in haar ritme. En Van Empel is al wat los.
Ja, het is nu aan Yara of aan Lucinda om proberen dat gaatje dicht te rijden. Het is Yara die wel het initiatief neemt op de weg. Maar ja, ze heeft al eens moeten lossen bergaf. Dus ja, het zal een beetje kijken zijn, denk ik, naar Lucinda. Als die naar de kop zou kunnen komen van de achtervolgende groep, dat ze er kan heen rijden.
Voilà, chronoloop voor de tweede ronde. We zaten bij de passage zo rond de 7:14. Dus ga er maar vanuit dat we zo rond de rondetijden van 7 minuten zitten.
Swiss, all on the road this summer. And so changing it up to race this 40-50 minute all-out effort is really a huge change for her body and like kind of psychologically getting her head around this kind of effort. As we see Fem Van Empel there, chain off. I just stated the bike's bouncing around, and it's one of those situations if the bike bounces around so much. We do have normally derailleurs on the front to try and stop that, and also chain catchers. But it looks like Fem's had a bit of a problem there, and it's not the first time Paul Sausen have suffered with this problem.
Yeah. I won't mention any manufacturers until we see what's gone on there. We're just looking for her to get back in, of course.
Yeah, and that's going to be on this sort of course that she's coming. And yeah, the rider ahead duly obliges and moves over for them so they can stick to the racing line. But Fem really pushing it now as yeah, we're approaching that section of the course where she lost her chain, as we see. Crash for number 24 there, one of the riders. Gone down hard.
Yeah, if it's going to happen anywhere, it would happen on a corner just like that. Then Van Empel, flawless through there, really good. Just locking up ever so slightly. Brand looking a little bit more out of control, it has to be said. But quick, all the same.
Yeah, that's one of the things. If you're behind and it's a few seconds to the rider in front, you've got to kind of risk it. Leave it a little bit later to brake, kind of let the bike move around a little bit more underneath you, and she is closing the gap down, but it comes as a risk, and she punctured earlier. That's going to be playing on her mind, but yeah, looks like it's not slowing her down.
No, absolutely. They're going to hear the bell this time through. Let's see what the gaps are on the line and how much can Lucinda Brand close up. Then Van Empel has a little look back to see for herself. There she is. And Brand's so strong on the road this year. Will try and use her power down this straight to get back up to Fem Van Empel. The 20 with the 29-year-old Lucinda Brand. I think she is. I might be making that up, actually, off the top of my head. Denise Betzemer, as she so often does, still down on the drops in that sort of cross time trialing mode. Always looks like she's slightly smiling at any one point, Denise Betzemer as well. So consistent in this race as well. Third last year.
coming up to this key section.
Yeah, there we go.
If one of these riders can ride it, then it completely changes this last lap. Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. But Brand just smashes her way up it. Kind of brute force got her through and round that corner. We see Betsma have to put a foot down.
So let's get this right. Fem Van Empel was perfect, and Brand was perfect. Even more perfect. But the gap is kind of still the same. Climbing cross, and Lucinda Brand just bobbing in the saddle, head down now. She knows exactly where Fem Van Empel is. She doesn't need to look up. She's just looking at the gravelly black track in front of her. She just starts to wind that gap down a little bit. Van Empel just struggling a little bit there. Just backing off a little bit. It's a deceptive shot, that, though.
It really is. You kind of get an idea of how steep the gradient is here. But Fem Van Empel just looks a little bit over-geared on the real steep pitches, whereas Brand keeping a really high, nice cadence. Just a slight difference in kind of drive chain manufacturers and producing slightly different gear ratios available. But, yeah, surprise there. Fem does roll a gear a little bit more, but Brand definitely closing in slightly on that section. However, don't rule out Fem Van Empel right now. I think she might be riding that section each lap within herself and then really seeing that second ascent on the lap as her point of attack.
Well, the fade, who's trying to go 2 in a row here right at the beginning of this 2022-23 cyclocross season.
It's one of those gaps. It's almost touching distance, and as a rider, you feel like you can just close it down. But if it's a rider like Fem Van Empel, you're not just going to close it down in one bank or one descent. And yeah, Brand's got that risk reward of trying to close down a 3-4 second gap, and she's got to take some risks, but that's going to produce chance of a puncture, chance of a crash as we enter this really bumpy, horrible little section of course, really.
Yeah, this is probably the most off-camber it gets. I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as last week in Krübecker, where there was loads of slippery off-camber. This is really one line down here as well, isn't it? They are following effectively the mountain bike track, the cross-country trails. 2 very different techniques there. Brand choosing to run with the bike. Fem Van Empel shouldering, mounting calmly. Fem Van Empel is just a picture of an athlete in flow, isn't she? There's no panic, there's no tension there at all. I haven't seen any tension in her, Ian, at all in this race.
Definitely not. Just really, really cool, kind of riding way beyond her years. But we see Brand we saw her risking it a little bit down into that run-up, just carrying a little bit more speed, panicking ever so slightly, not picking the bike up, just letting it bounce next to her by her side, and really closing down this gap is super strong effort. But I feel as though they're going to hit that next steep pitch, and Fem Van Empel might have a little bit more in the tank to kick away from Brand again.
Let's see. It is so close. Brand is almost on the wheel, but she looks like she is working incredibly hard here. Between these two, actually, at the end of a race like this, it'd be interesting to see in a sprint. Brand is usually pretty quick, but she likes to wind up from a long, long way out. It's not long, though, from that left-hander onto the finish to the line itself. So it could be a case, I guess, Ian, of who leads into that final... sorry, not left-hander, it's a right-hander onto the finishing straight, isn't it? Into that final corner, maybe. They have another very technical descent to come that will spill them out onto that finishing straight, though.
Yeah, we saw both digging really, really deep on that section. But yeah, Brand comes back to the wheel. This is the corner she had a problem with before, but much better. Holds it wide round the outside of those rocks that time. But yeah, Fem, that's got to knock the confidence ever so slightly. You're full attack mode on that section, and Brand just about closed it down. I'm sure she wants to lead into this next technical descent and try and really push things. Yeah, kicking out that corner, making sure Brand can't get back to the front. Brand is right on the limit now, and that's going to tell into this descent perhaps.
Yeah, Lucinda Brand has not yet really latched on. She's certainly not caught her breath, and the gap's gone again. Now, if Fem Van Empel, as Ian says, can nail this final descent, she's puffing and puffing a bit now too. It is such a brutal climb up to the height of just 95 metres above sea level up here. But 90 metres of altitude gain per lap for these riders when you take in the 2 ascents as well. It's really telling. It's going to be fascinating in the men's race to see how much it smashes things apart. This is becoming a real classic on the cyclocross season. One race which is quite unlike the others, really, in the amount of constant climbing and descending, but also the terrain.
it is through that section where Fem van Empel lost her chain earlier in the race. I feel like that's playing on her mind because Brand was able to close down through that section actually. And yeah, you said about the sprint, I would want to be leading out. I'd want to be first rider into that final right-hander, like you said. It's not far from there to the finish line. Even though Brand is a very fast sprinter, I feel like the lead rider will have the advantage.
Totally agree, and she's got to find an opportunity to get past Van Empel. Unless Van Empel comes into that finishing circuit and hesitates, I can't see anyone hesitating. I think once you've led round that right-hander, you've got to open up fully straight away, haven't you? Let's see if Brand is going to make any opportunity to try and get past Van Empel, because this could be the finishing order right here. And it might be that Lucinda Brand has never managed to get past her. It's going to be so close. We're going into the right-hander now. Fem van Empel just pushes the glasses back on. We're onto the road, and here goes the sprint. Fem van Empel's going to open onto the wheel. Fem van Empel, though, I think she's going to hang on, or is she? Is she? Lucinda Brand is ready to kick off the wheel, but I think Fem van Empel is going to get 2 in a row. She's done it.
What a sprint. That was really impressive. Even in the slipstream, Brand couldn't come round her. It just shows Fem van Empel won quite a few races.
And Denise Betsema takes the final step on the podium. Pretty much where she's been all race, actually. She has, I keep talking about her as a time trialist, she has ridden it like that, really, kind of always there, quite close, and at times looking like she's going to latch on with the lead, but not quite the attacking and brilliant best that she was at the beginning of last year's season, but still looking in fine